Hey guys, and welcome to episode number 38 of the Andy Campbell Show, only on Ace Podcast Nation. I'm your host, Si, and in a minute I'll be joined by former Cardiff City and Boro striker, Mr. Andy Campbell, as well as our very special guest. But just before that, we'll do a little bit of housekeeping. All our shows on Ace Podcast Nation are available in video format at youtube.com/Ace Podcast Nation. If you could subscribe and if you click the bell, you get notifications every time we upload or we go live. We do a couple of live shows each week, and we also release at least another 2 shows, sometimes more, particularly in these busy times for the podcast. But we've got some great guests coming up, and you can also get audio versions of every single show at all the usual podcasting apps and platforms. Yesterday, we dropped a new Unscripted and Uncensored, episode number 13 of that series with Cage Warriors top flyweight contender Luke Shanks. We also dropped an interview on Saturday with TalkSport's US editor and host of TalkSport 2 show, Talk Wrestle, Mr. Alex McCarthy, which was a good show. And we've also got shows coming up with boxing personality Ben Doherty, as well as the Farm lead singer Peter Houghton, and much, much more. I'm also recording a show on this Wednesday with the author of a book which I've forgotten the name of, which is always handy. The Blues Are Back in Town, Mr. Nick Fisk, which is a book about the Cardiff City's rebrand and the time period around that. So if you've got any questions regarding that book, the rebrand, or any comments which you'd like to hear us discuss in that show, then you can send them to Facebook, Twitter at acecast_nation, same on Instagram, and that show will be out over the next couple of weeks. But with no further ado, today we on the Andy Campbell Show, as always, we'll be talking football, but we got a special show today. We're going to be talking about the Emiliano Sala tragedy in particular, and we've got the author of the book, The Killing of Emiliano Sala, joining us in just a second. But before that, we have ex-Middlesbrough striker, ex-Cardiff City striker, Cardiff City legend, David Jones' favourite son, the goal collector, Mr. Andy Campbell. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. Yes, this is. I'm looking forward to this show. This has been something that I've been looking forward to. It's got me through another week locked in the house. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those, isn't it? At the moment, it's just same thing every week. We're just doing the same things each day. Bit of schoolwork, bit of this.
Every day is a Sunday, I think, innit? I don't know. I only know it's a Monday today because of this show.
Yeah, well, we had a very interesting show last week. It was good fun. We had Super Kev join us as well.
Yeah,
he'll be back very soon, no doubt, Mr. Kevin McNaughton. And we'll be discussing something about next week's show in just a bit. But also joining us today is journalist and best-selling author, Mr. Harry Harris. Welcome, Harry. How are you?
I'm very well, very well. Looking forward to my next episode on your show.
Indeed. Yeah, so obviously, previous to this, I interviewed Harry regarding the Killing of Emiliano Sala book. I also did a follow-up interview, I think, a few weeks later with Harry again. And me and Andy also did an Andy Campbell Show extra where we basically reviewed the book. We discussed the contents. I think we did about an hour and a bit on it. Obviously, it was far too much to fit into the whole hour and a bit. But we had a good chat about it. Andy, overall, like, before we kind of get into the new extended version and some of the other stuff, what was your kind of takeaways from the book after reading it?
I really enjoyed doing the show, Si. It was refreshing doing something out the ordinary and talking about, obviously, Harry's book. You know what I mean? I just said it personally to Harry there before we came on the show, but anybody who hasn't read, I'll say the first one, read it because it's such an excellent read. Fantastic. So many facts in it. You know what I mean? We had obviously a couple of debates about certain things, and there's a couple of questions that I'm going to obviously ask Harry myself, so I won't obviously say the things I'm going to say just now. But the book's an excellent read. You know what I mean? It's obviously such a tragic circumstance that obviously two people lost their lives, but we're on about obviously Emiliano, who, you know what I mean, was an up and coming footballer, and in such tragic circumstances, you know what I mean, with the links with obviously Nonce and Cardiff City, is just But no, from the book point of view, you know what I mean. Anybody who's listening and watching the show today or downloading it, get a copy because it's such an excellent book.
Indeed,
Well,
I did a
before we go on, thank you.
Go on. Yeah,
I'm
go
glad you like.
So, yeah, I just wanted to say I did a little interview on Neil McAvoy, Welsh Assembly members show this today at lunchtime, just to basically like plug the show and talk about tonight's show. And one of the straight away I said just a couple of things from the book. And the two, Neil and Leanne, who were sort of hosting the show, were immediately quite shocked. So they weren't aware of the information, and the information which I shared with them was basically about the pilot being colorblind and not being have the correct license for commercial flights. So, and like Neil is, he's very switched on. He's a politician. He knows, he knows the score. He's very up to date on pop culture. He's very up to date on current news. He didn't know that, which I found very interesting. And I said on their show today, I said when I first invited Harry to come on the show, before I had read the book, I had been rubbed up a little bit the wrong way by the title, and I had gone into it thinking it was going to go one way, and then I read the book, and within the first chapter, my opinion, my mind had completely changed about what I thought the book was. And I think a lot of people jump to that conclusion where they see this title, which some people will say is controversial, which we will get into in a minute. But I think for those people who read the book, it doesn't take very long before you really understand that it's not kind of this sensationalized tabloid version of a book. It's based around facts. It's based around investigation, which took months and months and months. And we all, especially, I mean, Cardiff City fans and non-fans especially, but football fans, and I think everyone wants the same thing, which is justice and answers for the families of the people involved.
But Si, also we spoke about this at length, didn't we? That without reading the book, the facts they're out there, but they weren't ever published. I.e., on the reports from the news and stuff, and in the papers. Some of the facts in the book are absolutely scary, and the things that for me the public need to know about and they should be hearing about. And that's football fans. That's things about the agent, things about the pilot, things about certain other people. Which for me, I didn't even know that certain people were involved in it until I read the book. And for me, that's a crying shame because I think reporters, journalists, etc., have a right to give out the truth and the facts, and I don't think it's all come out yet. And I don't know. Obviously, the legalities on justice and will the family ever get justice for what's gone on? You know what I mean? My thoughts right now are no, because of how long it's dragged on, how long it's going to drag on for, and things, and obviously with a missing body, etc. So for me, and go back to the book is a must read because it's got so many facts which have never been told in or anywhere else really.
Yeah, absolutely. I will throw to you just a second, Harry. I just wanted to. Neil's just posted a message on Facebook. He said, "I want to read the book. It's great to be tuning in, and thanks for all your interest in journalism over the years, Harry," which is a nice comment indeed. So, Harry, just for the people who are maybe not familiar with your work or not familiar with you, just to start off, if you could tell us like a little bit about yourself. The sort of places you've worked over the years, some of the books or articles you've written.
Well, I don't know about the sound from your end, but it's broken up at my end, so I don't know whether you can hear me okay.
Yeah.
But, you're quite distorted, so I think I basically got the question. Well, look, I've written quite a few books this year. I've written a series about Boss, which is a history of football managers, which I'm sure Andy would appreciate. The Liverpool one from Shankly to Spurs, Nicholson to Mourinho, and recently the Chelsea one with Frank Lampard doing the forward to it, and Ivor Badil has written a piece in it as well. Of course, Ivor's the brother of David, but is now even more famous than David since his recent exploits on video. I don't know whether you've seen it, but it's quite hilarious. But of course, I've now brought out, as you know, a full update of the killing of Emiliano Sala. It's now called the Football Crime of the Century. And it's considerably longer and a bigger book. And it contains a number of new revelations and facts that would be little known to the public, I think, and would be quite an exclusive on your programme when I go through them. And I think it would be more food for thought.
Indeed, we're very grateful that you've come on, not just tonight, but also the previous shows. And I mean, I think also it says a lot about you in terms of how much you stand by the book and the facts and everything in it, that you're willing to not only do a podcast but come on a live show and basically answer any questions which get thrown at you. I'm not entirely sure that all authors or journalists would do that, but so I think that says a lot about you as a person. I'm just going to quickly just go through some of the comments, because otherwise people start messaging me and saying, why are you ignoring my comments? So Reese David Evans is here, Gaz Cubbins is here, who else we got? Richie Thomas is here, Becky Willis is here, my wife, who else we got? Neil McAvoy. And there you go, my wife says, the fact that Si managed to read an actual book shows how well it's written. And I think what she means by that is as I've got older, especially because my eyesight is terrible, I tend to listen to books rather than read them. But I actually bought this book and I read it from back, front to back in a matter of hours because I couldn't put it down. So, first of all, Harry, what new information, or I'll tell you what, rather than go to the new information straight away, maybe we could talk about some of the information, just the general information which is out there, which maybe people aren't aware of. If we start with the actual transfer, and maybe Willie Mackay, who's a very popular figure on this podcast, he is not. We've had a few things to say. First question, Harry, I've got for you. In January, it was all over Twitter that on all the football news websites and transfer sites and all these different places, so some very reputable ones. I think L'Equipe was one of them. Willie Mackay was working on transfers this past January to move players from France to the UK. Now, Willie Mackay was banned from working on transfers when the Sala transfer was going through. So how is that possible? That he's, even now after this tragedy, he's still working on those transfers?
Well, I've no idea how he's allowed to do that, but I think we've raised this issue in previous podcasts with you, is that this isn't exclusively an issue for Cardiff City Football Club. There are many Willie Mackays out there. For every decent football agent, there's a Willie Mackay. Unlicensed, unregulated, the people who run the game unable to control them. It's a wild west out there for certain agents who are unregulated. So this is happening at every single football club, in my view. Even the biggest elite clubs are suffering this kind of thing. It's because it's fear factor. The clubs fear missing out on the player and fear the control the agents have over players, whether it's contractual, whether it's some mystical belief by the players that they'll get a better deal from the agents. Whatever the circumstances, these things are commonplace, I fear. To actually be counting around one of Emiliano's teammates, even to similar clubs that he originally went to, I think it's pretty obscene.
Yeah, I think it's disgraceful. And Andy, I don't know what you feel about that as an ex-player.
No, it doesn't sit. It doesn't sit right with me. I don't see how somebody can have so many poor dealings within the football world and still be getting away with it. Be banned from being able to deal with football, but to still have your name running or something and getting your family to do the dealings for you, but then still be involved in it. And then when your son can't do the deal because he's not experienced enough or he doesn't feel confident enough in sorting part of the deal out, dad takes over. You know what I mean? It just doesn't sit right with me that yes, it's not a Cardiff City issue. It's not probably a nonce issue. You know what I mean? These deals are done all over the world, from club to club, internally, externally, and agents sometimes they do get a bad name, a really bad name, and it's because of things like this, and it's because of people like Mackay, and he's let everybody down. He's let everybody down by. Probably by the underhandness and the way that it's been handled probably after the event, instead of explaining probably and coming out with the facts from his end. You know what I mean? It would have incriminated him for me, because he shouldn't have been anywhere near the deal, and he's either kept it quiet so he takes pressure off his son and his family, because obviously if I'm wrong, is the company's in his wife's name. And obviously his son was the agent. So I just think the whole thing stinks for me, and the whole thing and how FIFA, UEFA haven't got themselves fully more involved to make sure that the family can't do deals, you know what I mean, further down the line, or ban them for a certain length of time, because it just shouldn't have happened. You know, that yes, it was a tragic accident, hopefully, but you know what I mean, there's a bigger picture here, that there's so many things that haven't been explained, and the book tells that story and names people which I'd never heard of before this. And for me, it opened my eyes massively.
Yeah, FIFA as an organisation do have a lot to answer for on many different subjects. Obviously, we've discussed recently what to do with the season and why aren't FIFA stepping in. But you know, it seems like, to the outside, someone who's never been involved in football on a professional level like myself, it seems very easy to stop what Willie Mackay is doing, yet he is not only doing it, he's doing it with everybody knowing about it. Like, he's not doing this in secret. Mm-hmm. It was all over social media. Everybody knew he was doing it. Everybody knew he was working on transfers in January. So, you know, to me, that says that it's easy for FIFA to do something about it. Jonathan Wish, who's a regular viewer and supporter of the channel, asks, did Harry contact Willie Mackay?
Willie Mackay I've spoken to over many times, but how this whole book originated was that I was helping the Daily and Sunday Telegraph, a year-long investigation into the whole episode. But I was assisting, more as a consultant, finding out a lot of information. I never actually wrote those Telegraph articles, because I don't actually work for the Telegraph. So it was incumbent on the Telegraph, through their legal team, through the journalists who were working there with me on the story, to contact him. And every story that was published, that we published, or they published, that I was involved in, William Mackay was given at least 48 hours, sometimes 72 hours notice, at least 48 hours notice of what was about to be published, and asked to respond. Invariably, in fact, I think 99% of the time, he never did respond. If he ever did, whatever he had to say was reported to give a fair and balanced view of his views. So, yes, the Daily Telegraph contacted William Mackay at every stage of every article that was written about him.
And in terms of when you've done the extended version, which is obviously out now, did you attempt to contact him again, or did you kind of give up after a lack of responses? Well,
there was no point. The Daily Telegraph tried, and he refused to cooperate. He didn't wish to give his point of view because there was no point of view, presumably, to give. And my name was on 20, at least 25 articles. Never once did he specifically complain about the content of those articles after they were published. He did, however, make certain complaints about me to the Telegraph in an attempt to silence me, but didn't succeed.
I see. Harry, you're breaking up a little bit. Would you be able to just go out and then come back into the link? Because it'll just reset it a little bit because you're just breaking up a bit, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you. In the meantime,
So,
go on.
Sorry, was that a question?
Oh no, I was gonna just ask Andy a question while you go in and out. If you go out of the link and then come back in, you should be reset them. Andy,
I'm still with you.
Reese David, okay. The joys of live broadcasts. Right, I just removed him. Reese David Evans asks Andy. He says, as fans, we're always told that agents are usually to blame for turning a player's head, and for making players unhappy. So we as fans dislike the agents. How are they to work with as a player?
They work for the player. That's their job. So they're basically employed by the player because they get paid. Obviously, they get paid by a football club, but it's the player who earns them money. So if an agent sees a way to exploit a player, move a player on, then there's ways and means of doing it. You know what I mean? That Hey, listen, Si, everyone's human. You know what I mean? If an agent rings you up and said, "Listen, I've had Man United on the phone. They want to pay you £100,000 a week," you can't tell me that your head wouldn't be turned A, by the figures, B, by the football club. So straight away, you're going to be a little bit confused at the situation where you are currently, and you'll see certain dips in form by players or non-appearance, i.e., that they don't play for a few weeks because they're not mentally right to play in certain games. And for me, you don't always need an agent. That I've had a couple in my career. I'm not sure the kind of moves that I did. I'd say the top end moves, the Gareth Bales, the Wayne Rooney's, etc. The big players need the agents. I don't see sometimes that the smaller moves, and every move needs an agent. The PFA do a really good job in advising and things, but I don't see sometimes that you need an agent. And I see a lot of agents sometimes from foreign clubs to British clubs especially, that there's always that link, and there's always a link between French and English, and Mackay's got that link, and sometimes it's like a super agent that an English club will get in touch with a super agent in France, and they'll get the pick of the players, and I believe that's how that started. And obviously, a question what I would ask Harry is, obviously Neil Warnock has made no secrets that he obviously had a really strong relationship with Willie Mackay, and obviously Neil lost his job this season due to results, due to whatever you might want to call it. But do you think obviously his performance might have been impacted with what was going on off the field as well as on the field?
Oh, you've got no sound, Harry. Not sure why.
Is he joined without using audio?
Yeah, you might have to click the audio side of it as well. So when you come back in, you have to click audio and video. I believe. Yeah. So you'll have to just check if I can do it at my end. No, I can't. What you have to do is you have to go out, come back in, and click audio and video.
Audio and video, yeah. Because listen, you know what I mean. I felt sorry for Neil losing his job. You know what I mean. He went through a hell of an ordeal with losing a player, someone who he'd met, a lot of times. And then you've obviously got the scandal of knowing the agent and rumours coming out of a relationship with the agent. And you know what I mean, that could have had an adverse effect on him mentally, physically. You know what I mean? Because obviously he wasn't getting any younger. And then obviously it didn't really seem to last so much longer after the start of the season. So, you know what I mean? Obviously my question to Harry is going to be, does he think it had an impact? Because obviously he may or did speak to him, asking him certain questions about his relationship with the agent and things. So it'd be interesting to see the outcome of that one.
Indeed. Harry, are you there now? You're muted at the moment. Let's have a look. Right, Harry's muted himself at the moment. He's struggling with the technology, I think. But Johnny, I got to say, just in response to what you said there, and I thought Neil Warnock, he was never the same after Sala died.
No.
Particularly because just about a week or two before Sala died, it was made very public that Sala didn't want to come to Cardiff City.
Yeah.
And I think Neil Warnock had a big hand in convincing him to come.
Yeah.
Obviously, that will impact you then when that person is tragically, tragically taken. And then Johnny Wish has just said there that Warnock was never the same.
Yeah, but that said, that also for me, that also tells a story about an agent that the player wasn't keen on coming. You know, that was obvious. You know, he was undecided. He spoke to various ex-players, teammates about the move, but the agent convinced him to move. And you know, it was a big decision. You know, to come to the Premier League, to come to a different country, to play his trade in a league which he was unknown to, and. You know what I mean? And for me, he probably would have been the difference in keeping us up because, you know what I mean, we weren't that far away at the time and we were playing some decent football. We were scoring goals in relatively all the games. You know what I mean? We were just so close in certain games, and I think he would have made the difference.
Indeed. So, Andy, what was your question to Harry?
My question, Harry, is obviously Neil came out, and obviously the relationship with the agent with Willie Mackay, and obviously my question is, do you think it had an adverse effect on Neil as an individual and as his performance? Obviously, because he obviously lost his job 6 months after Emiliano died. So, do you think it had an effect on him personally and physically and mentally?
Harry, you've still got no sound. I don't know why. Okay. I'm not entirely sure why that's suddenly doing it. You might be better off trying it on your laptop or your phone, whichever one you're not on, if that makes sense, and try it that way. Really sorry about this, guys. I'm not entirely sure what's happened. Harry's struggling to get his audio, so I'm going to just remove him and we'll carry on as normal and we'll go from here. But it's the joys of technology. It's where we are at the moment in the current world with remote technology and the like. But I think it's very, very difficult because it's clear Neil Warnock was never the same.
No,
you could see that in himself. He was down. He was very sullen a lot in interviews and things like that.
I think that was always going to happen, though, Si, wasn't it? It was always going to happen because,
of course, he's
obviously lost a player. He's lost a new you know what I mean? No one knows how what he was going through and how you know what I mean. Then on top of it, he had a relegation to deal with. So you know what I mean. So the emotions which must have hit him at the end of the season, it must have been. It must have been just an emotional nightmare because, you know what I mean, the highs of being in the Premier League, the low of losing the player, the low of got relegated, and then trying to get yourself and get your players ready for another season is just it's just ridiculous, you know. So
yeah, it's one of those. It's Richie Thomas there. He says 100%. You could see his emotion after the Bournemouth game. I think was it the Arsenal game, which was quite soon afterwards, after Sala died.
Yeah,
he looked like he'd aged.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, quite considerably,
and a few years. Yeah. I got to say as well, you know, that's understandable. You know, like it affected everyone. You know, it affected me, it affected all of us. But for someone who had convinced the boy to come, it was always going to have a massive effect on him.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try again. How are you, Harry? Are you with us? No sound.
No.
Try. Oh, it's because you. you turned your sound down on your laptop when you were trying to access the link. Have you turned it back up? I don't know. Okay, I have no idea how to get around this. I'm stumped. I'm not quite sure. No, we can't hear you. Let me just double check if I can mute you and then unmute you. Very, very frustrating. No, I can't. We can't hear you, Harry, unfortunately, which is an absolute nightmare. It's frustrating. So we've got a couple of questions for Harry, which I'll store them up. And Neil's just asked a question.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
So if you just bear with us a sec. So, and how's your week been, mate? Anyway, just for the time being, we'll talk about week in lockdown.
Just a bit, just a bit. The same surreal, you know. That I'd heard a whisper that the Prime Minister was going to come out today and give us a little rally call, but I thought it was going to be just something different to either release things or make it worse or whatever. But I just didn't get it. I'm just not getting the whole thing, and it's just dragging on a little bit now. When I go out on the street to go for a walk, I see places just as busy as they were before we got locked down, and it's just annoying me. Do you know what annoys me the most, by the way? And this is a little bit of a rant. And if anyone's doing it, you know what I mean, please stop, because it does me head in. That we're told that we're allowed to go out for an hour, 1 hour's worth of exercise. So you get people on social media posting that they've been for a 2.5 hour bike ride or 2.5 hour run. If you're doing it, don't post it. You know what I mean? Because it's stupidity. If you post it, people know you've been out for 2 hours. An hour's exercise is enough for everybody. You know what I mean? Please, because I'm getting sick and tired of being stuck in the house. I honestly am. You know what I mean? I need to go back. I need to go back and help the kids at school.
Well, I gotta say, speaking of rants, I saw pictures yesterday of people at Roth Rec, which is just up the road from Roth Park.
Yeah,
and there was loads of them, like, just do it basically because the gyms are all closed. They were all together, and yeah, you could argue that they were maybe 2 meters apart from each other, but they were still congregating in a massive group. And you know, if one of those people are ill or sick, that's it. You know, they're all going to get it, or very likely to get it. So also, Alan's going to give Harry a ring and see if he can talk him through it, because it's very difficult for me to do, obviously, when I'm trying to do the show.
It's like you've just said there, Si. You know what I mean? You're on about. We've been in lockdown now. What, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, nearly 5 weeks? Is it 4 weeks? I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks. And the death rate is still as high now as they were 5 weeks ago. So that means that people are still doing 2 weeks ago what they shouldn't have been doing. You know what I mean? So please, just, you know what I mean? I'm probably talking to the wrong people, because people on here seem really sensible, but you know what I mean? There's still some idiots about.
Oh yeah, yes there is. Where's it gone? Richie Thomas says apparently the police were chasing people away who were driving through red lights and stuff. It's all getting a bit dramatic. But it's because people can't follow instructions. I would love to go to the park. My kids haven't been outside for a month, really, other than the little garden we got. You know, they are desperate, especially the older one and younger one who play football. They're desperate to go out, but they can't, because I want to keep them safe. I want to keep myself safe. I haven't seen my mum for, I think, coming on 6 weeks. Same with my in-laws. Right, Harry's back. Let's see if we can get it. Also, Reese David Evans just asked any news on it, any ex-City players coming on the more podcast.
Watch
which
this
I will
space.
Address.
Watch this
I will
space.
address in just a second.
Keep watching.
Let's see if we've got Harry.
Harry. Gosh, can
you hear me?
Yay!
Yeah.
We can
King
indeed.
Alan.
We're back.
King Alan.
It's technology. Did my friend Alan was going to give you a ring? Did he give you a ring?
He did, but by the time he rang me, I'd switched it off and then switched it back on again, and it worked.
Excellent. Yes, the joys of technology. So we got a couple of questions, which I'm just going to circle back to. Neil McAvoy asks, does anyone know if the Sala family have been compensated? All the wrangling over money is terrible. Insurers never want to pay out, and do you think it's actually the club? We'll give that to Harry, please.
No, they
I'll
haven't
put
been
it on screen
compensated,
as
but
well.
the club. Can you hear me? Yeah. But
Yeah,
the club
yeah,
have
go.
the club have set up a fund, but it really needs some momentum. I'm not quite sure how that might happen, but it really needs some input to raise some funds. But they have got and have had ever since I contacted Cardiff. It was high on their agenda to do something, but there's an army of lawyers working at Cardiff. It must be about 14 or 15 in different subjects. And of course, their advice would be, if you do something like that and give them compensation, Nant will use that as an admission of guilt, and that's why you're compensated. So the family are stuck in the middle, waiting for this to be concluded. It's a year and a half, and it'll be at least 2 years before we find out what's going on. So hence the reason why I've done this book now called The Football Crime of the Century. It's not just a crime against Emiliano Sala, it's a crime against football as a whole. It's a crime against their family. It's a crime that all these investigative bureaus and bureaucracy have got nowhere. So I'm afraid you're relying on little old me to unravel it all. But there are new evidence in this new book that I've produced that goes back to something we started off on in one of our earlier podcasts. But there's more now hard evidence to support what we were talking about as a conspiracy theory before. Now, we've just seen, about 3 weeks ago, this massive, great big aviation report, hundreds of pages, going into graphic detail about all the things they know, and a lot of supposition of things they don't know. How did the carbon monoxide get in the cockpit? They don't really know. But in previous accidents, there was faults with this, with that. But they haven't got the plane up. They haven't salvaged the plane, so they don't know. What they did say, very, very briefly, was that the pilot's harness was missing. They gave no explanation as to why it was missing. They didn't give any previous accounts of similar accidents where the harness has gone missing. Just they stated it's gone missing. So at the moment, we go back to our original book and our original podcast, where I just said the conspiracy theorists were all the things this pilot couldn't do, all the problems he had. One thing he was good at was skydiving. Now he transpires his harness was. Now the guy, it's a tragedy for him as well, but he's missing, presumed dead. So where is he?
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because like one of the points which I made in all the original shows was that you had a lot of people saying that this book had kind of like pushed this theory about the skydiving and where the pilot was, etc. But actually, in fact, in the original copy of the book, it was about a paragraph which just stated the fact he was a trained skydiver and he had a lot of debt. That's their facts. I've got to say, I thought that aviation report, it really infuriated me because I thought it was a lot of information which didn't say a great deal in terms of it didn't really provide any answers. It didn't help to really push anything else along. Gaz asks, did the original pilot ever answer any of the police's questions?
Well, what happened there was he was arrested on charges of criminal manslaughter. I think the procedure is you have to arrest these people to get them into a police station to answer questions and be interrogated about. No one knows what it's released. The police haven't released any information. Cardiff City have written to the original pilot. They've written to his lawyers. They draw a blank. He doesn't want to know. So whatever he does know, he's keeping very much to himself. I think what he has to say, what he does know, is crucial to this puzzle. But that remains a mystery. In fact, the question I'm posing in the next book. Within the industry, Andy would tell you, within the football industry, you'd know much about most things that are going on, more. So here you have a pilot that knows what's going on in the industry. Why on earth does he pick this pilot to do this job? With all the things running against him, all the problems unlicensed, colourblind, either part-time DJ, he's a part-time bummer. He's got 4 county court orders against him, a new one pending. Why would you pick this guy? I mean, the conclusion would be, well, he's willing to take a risk. He needs the money. They're giving him a backhand in cash. He shouldn't take any fees because he's not licensed for a commercial flight. Now we find out that the police dropped those charges and said they're not investigating homicide. Now, they didn't say they're not investigating other potential criminal matters revolving around the original pilots and everybody else involved. Didn't say that at all. But one would assume that they are. But I think they're a bit hasty to come out publicly and say we are not investigating homicide, because since the aviation report, since that happened, the aviation report has come in, and we don't have a harness for pilots. It's missing, and we haven't got a clue why it's missing or where it went. So I think the police might have been a bit hasty.
Indeed, Andy, you look like you had a question on the tip of your tongue there, mate.
I'm just confused about obviously David Henderson, because you know what I mean. Surely though the police have got a duty then, if they've arrested him, you know what I mean. They've got a duty to get to the bottom of it, Harry, to try and gather enough evidence to either charge him or get the facts from him to release without a charge. Because if he's obviously said nothing, then silence is not obviously the way forward. He wants to prove himself not guilty or innocent, or you know what I mean. Why did he give David Ibbotson the flight? You know what I mean. You just said there the things that the reasons why he shouldn't have had the flight. He was colourblind. He shouldn't be flying at night. He was unlicensed. You know what I mean. He was riddled with debt. He shouldn't. You know what I mean. All these things. You know what I mean. If the agent, if Mackay knew about it, it makes things sound and come across even worse than what they are.
Indeed, absolutely right. You have to wonder why he's prepared to do that. So he isn't running is what he's got to say concerning him if it ever became public. The police might not charge him with homicide, manslaughter, but they might charge him with something else. Yeah. I mean, there's clear negligence, and there might be a wide variety of people who might be implicated in negligence. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not privy in detail to what the police in the UK are doing. Yeah. However, this has now been taken to the French prosecutors, where the element of
Harry's frozen.
Culpability
he's back.
Is far greater in France. Who is employed by non?
You're back now, Harry. It's okay.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're back now.
All right. So it's been taken to the French prosecutors because the strength of the law in France is much greater than it is here in relation to who is responsible if you represent work for an employer. The original idea was a civil case for criminal manslaughter, but such was the weight of incriminating evidence that the French lawyers discovered that they handed it to the French police.
But whose job is it, Harry? Though, because obviously where the plane went down, obviously in the middle of the ocean. So is it the English responsibility from the authorities? Is it the French responsibilities? Does no one take responsibility to see this through, or are they just leaving it to each other? Is the communications as good as it should be? Because obviously there's a family here stuck in the middle, as you know. You know what I mean? That they want a bit of closure. They want somebody to take responsibility for what's happened. They want somebody to be prosecuted. They want a little bit of closure. You know, obviously I know that obviously Dad's now obviously passed away himself. So you know what I mean? The tragic circumstances of that family keep on getting worse and worse and worse before that potentially they're ever going to find out the truth.
Okay, Andy, look at it this way. Nantes approached Cardiff before this poor bugger was buried.
Yeah.
They demanded their money almost instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Cardiff said, we'll play fair. We will give you whatever we should be giving you, providing we can find out about what really happened first.
Yeah.
So Nantes weren't satisfied. They took the case to FIFA. FIFA heard the case after a month, and FIFA decided in favour of Nantes. and instructed Cardiff to pay the fee. Cardiff took this issue to the arbitration in sport, CAS, where they would actually have face-to-face physical representation and put their case properly, rather than the FIFA.
Yeah.
Now, it's nearly a year and a half later. If Nons were quite clear and happy about their case, which they took to FIFA, why is it last week that they approached Cardiff and said, we want this appeal hearing, we want your permission to now delay it? Because our lawyers and advisors can't get their act together because of the coronavirus issue.
Yeah.
A year and a half later, they must have had their case in place when they went to FIFA to start with. Now they haven't, apparently.
Should have done, yeah.
And are using Cardiff an excuse to delay the CAS hearing. Why would they do that?
Yeah. But you can possibly see from both sides, can't you, that obviously Nons sold the player. They thought they sold the player. He'd left to go and start his new club. So he'd gone. They were waiting for the funds to transfer so they could go and move on, sign another player, for example. And then obviously from Cardiff's point of view, that they've signed a player but never ever received their player. So you know what I mean? Like Cardiff, you can understand probably from Cardiff's point of view that why would they pay for something at the minute that they don't have any control over? They never received the player. You know what I mean? There's obviously something surrounding the circumstances, so they're obviously going down that route. But obviously, from a professional point of view, Harry, how do you think Cardiff's reputation's come out of all this? Obviously, with refusing to pay, etc. How do you think that they look from an outsider looking in?
Well, I think Cardiff's reputation was torn to shreds from day one. Well, this was, not giving their money in Cardiff refused. People didn't understand, but I think they understand now. They understand that Cardiff are looking for fair play.
Yeah.
They're looking to see who's culpable. They want to see what really went on, and the answers aren't forthcoming. Nons now are no longer on the front foot, they're on the back foot. They're worried about what the French prosecutors might come up with. They're wondering what might happen to them next. So I think I can think that people now realise that Cardiff took the right course of action. I think, as far as reputations are concerned, I don't think anyone comes out of it very well. You know, you talk about the family stuck in the middle, and they are still stuck in the middle. Someone needs to sort this all out. Now, people have been texting me, emailing me. They want a full government inquiry, and why not? I mean, this is a real scandal. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, it's a UK scandal because it happened closer to the UK than it did to France.
Oh, okay.
It's time someone got a grip on what went on, because if serious foul play did occur and the UK police aren't sure of their ground to make criminal manslaughter stick with anybody, apparently so far, no one's really getting any answers unless this went to court. Then you could see in open court the evidence and the cross-examination. As yet, there's no sign of that happening. So when are we ever going to get to the truth of the matter? When are we ever going to find out? Well, I think the only way, if the French prosecutors actually charge someone and take it to the French court.
And is there a deadline here, Harry? So obviously, you know what I mean, how long's a piece of string that, you know what I mean, that obviously, have they got a time frame before that they decide that no one's to blame, or, you know what I mean, or does this just rumble on forever so the family never potentially get closure?
Well, as you can see, I keep on writing stories and books about it, so to make sure no one lets it be kicked into the long grass, which I'm sure a lot of people would like to happen.
Yeah, but I think though with the publicity of it though, I don't think it will ever be forgotten about, and I think for those people who are involved in it, I think that's their problem that they've got, that nobody will ever forget it. They've got obviously two big football clubs here, a family stuck in the middle of it. You're writing stories about it. People never forget, you know what I mean? And that's one thing that I've learned over my course in Cardiff, certainly, that Cardiff fans will never let this lie until they get a closure, you know what I mean? Because they want it for the family. You see some of the comments and the questions that we're having in the chat here that about how do the family feel, how do they feel they're not getting any closure, etc. And for me, that they're massively stuck in the middle. You know what I mean? That sometimes we forget the two people lost their lives. That David Ibsen also potentially has lost his life. We don't know that 100%, but obviously Emiliano has lost his life tragically, and the family at the minute haven't got any closure. And you know what I mean? Have you got to write another $5 before somebody takes notice and carries on? And you know what I mean? I just think that I agree with what you just said there about that somebody's got to take control, and if that's the British government to follow this all the way through and push the buttons and make it a priority, then so be it.
So yeah, let's just go back to some of these some questions. Sorry, Harry, to interrupt you there.
We're not getting the grips of what's really going on. But one point, before I forget it, is now we've got this lockdown that we're all suffering. Now we've got the hold put on football and clubs at Cardiff's level. We know what their finances are like. It's a very fragile situation. It's been in the news in the last week what Cardiff are doing with, referrals, salaries, how there's, in a crisis like everybody else is in the world at the moment. But if they also had another liability of £15 million with no asset to show for it, the club would go bust. There's no way Cardiff could sustain the level of losses they are at the moment, plus another £15 million liability. So it shows the wisdom of Cardiff saying, let's find out the truth of this matter before we commit £15 million for nothing. I think you have to take that on board, that whoever's running Cardiff, whoever made those decisions, obviously didn't foresee the coronavirus pandemic coming along, but they've got an owner. But how deep is his pockets? How patient is he with losing money like any businessman without any possibility of a return? So you could actually see this club going under.
But you said there, Harry, as well about the club having 14, 15 solicitors working around the clock on different avenues about what's going on. So obviously that comes at a cost as well. So if Cardiff do lose this, you've also got £15 million transfer fee. You've also got individual solicitors fees left, right, and centre for all these people who are working on the case. That it's not just going to be £15 million at the end. It's going to be far greater than that. And plus any other fees will come on top of it, because you know what I mean, that potentially, like you say, would ruin any football club.
Indeed, Andy. But look, this is where I'm coming from. I don't work for Cardiff. I have minimal association with Cardiff. I'm an investigative journalist who's written a book about this because I think it needs exposure. I'm just saying that I'm looking at it objectively. Cardiff did the right thing. At first, I don't think that recognition was there, but I think it is now. Why would you hand over £15 million when we can now see the negligence that took place? We can now see the culpability and where it might lie. I'm not pointing fingers at anyone in particular, but it might be a whole succession of people that might be guilty of negligence. I don't know. No one yet has been charged with anything. The only person who's been charged is now has been dropped. A year and a half after all that's gone on, no one has been brought to task.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you know what I mean? I think we've said this in our show. We said this all along that we just want closure the same as everyone else wants, and hopefully that comes obviously from the second book, and it reminds everybody. But at the same time, how long? It's been a year and a half, like you say now, and we want it sooner rather than later.
So, guys, I know there's a bit of clicking and there's a little bit of interference. I'm working on that, but I'm begrudged to kind of for anyone to go in and out just because we don't want to have any issues with that. So bear with us a second. Let's just circle back to some questions which we've had just while you two were chatting there. So we had Gaz asked, were the police waiting for the aviation report to come out before they made further action on David Henderson?
I've no idea if they did or they didn't, but it came out, and I think they'd already concluded that homicide was not on their agenda. They made that clear when the Telegraph asked them, and that doesn't preclude the fact that they are still investigating. Perhaps they are, who knows, and could make further charges against Henderson or other people and others. But the fact is, they haven't. And it's a year and a half later. I mean, how long can it possibly take? Because you've read the book. We know the details. There's an updated book with far more details. How much more do they need to know before they can see there is serious foul play of some description?
Yeah, that is definitely that's the problem, isn't it? It seems bizarre that it seems to everyone else that everyone can see some of the extraordinary things which have gone on, but the police don't. Jonathan Wish asks, could you tell us about some of the new info in the extended version now?
Yes, I think well, I've touched upon it. There's the issue about the French prosecutors. The next stage has been reached. They're taking statements from a number of people at Cardiff. Presumably, they're also taking witness statements or asking for them. People at Nantes. Are they going to witness statements from people like Neil Warnock and Willie Mackay? Do they have jurisdiction to do that? Also in the book, it reports the fact that Cardiff City, or representatives of Cardiff City, asked the UK police if they could request from Willie Mackay all of data, text, telephone, email, and they declined. Clearly, they didn't think it was serious enough. But of course, Neil Warnock was working with Cardiff at that time, and they requested from him, and he handed over nearly 5,000 items of data, emails and texts. As far as I know, nothing incriminated on them. But, you know, agents like William Mackay, do they not use maybe other phones, other means of communication which they do not give up? Maybe only the police can track those and request a vision of them. But they weren't interested in pursuing that. I just think that this is not too serious in a lot of people's eyes. It's not something of national importance. It's not something that is top of their agenda. It's football, wash with money. If the evidence comes to light, then they might do something about it. But you know, we know the police are under-resourced. It's not top of their agenda as far as I can see. They may prove me wrong, but I'm still prodding away. So we've got those issues, what the French prosecutors are doing, and they may be more ruthless because of the laws out in France, much more specific. The new information is about what Nantes have been doing to try and wriggle out of the June CAS hearing. They asked Cardiff for permission. Cardiff gave permission. If you want to wait, fine. Because Cardiff's view is CAS aren't going to be able in a position to decide this, because we're going to go to CAS and say, well, look, until we know what the French prosecutors are doing, until we know if the UK actually do charge someone with something, until we find out what the inquest decides, and that's not going to be the best part of another year. How's football authority or even arbitration within football and sport going to decide these issues? They aren't. This is a matter for the police or a matter for a proper inquiry. Please tell me what you make of the fact that the harness is missing without any proper explanation from the aviation authority. All this time to bring their conclusion, but no proper explanation why the pilot's harness is missing. So where is it? Where is the pilot? No one knows. Why didn't they salvage the plane? The water was too choppy. It was too much of a danger to the divers. Whatever the reasons, this was a debate in the House of Lords, and one Lord said to the minister in charge of this department, you know, when the Russians had a submarine, nuclear submarine 10 years ago to salvage from the bottom of the ocean, they came to Britain to salvage it. So 10 years ago, we can salvage a nuclear vessel, but 10 years later, we can't salvage a tiny little plane just off our coast.
It's incredible. It's so what else we got? Becky Willis, my wife, asks, how do the families feel about the book?
Didn't quite catch the question. Sorry.
How do the families feel about the book?
The family are distraught. I mean, the mothers. You know, it's a bit privileged because certain people, friends of the family, tell me an awful lot. But this is just imagine how your family would feel, how any mother would feel, not just about loss, but the fact that this inaction, the fact that no one knows, the fact that they still blame Cardiff, they blame everybody, they blame the British authorities, the police, for lack of action. All they're saying is, please have some action. Tell us what happened.
Indeed.
Because
and what was their reaction to the book?
What happened? Can you tell us what happened? You know what happened. Do you really know?
No.
When you read all the aviation reports, they've told you in great detail what their expert investigators come up with. Do you really still know what happened?
Absolutely not. And I think that's part of the problem, isn't it? We don't know why there was such a high level of CO2 in Emiliano Sala's system. We don't know how the CO2 got into the cockpit. Did that influence the crash? All these questions, and obviously, part of that question would have been answered had they recovered the wreckage. Richie Thomas asks, would there be any evidence available on the plane at the time it went down? By removing the plane, would that have maybe helped to strengthen any investigation?
I mean, quite clearly, had they salvaged the plane and examined whether there was faults that the carbon monoxide got into the cockpit, they would have seen them. They've supposed in previous very similar examples that this failed or that failed, and presumably that's how it failed here. Presumably. There are only two options. It was either a mechanical or it was sabotage.
Indeed. I'm just going to quickly check through some questions, because the connection for you, Harry, is not the greatest. So I just want to, before we release you, let's see what we've got. Andy, have you got any further questions for Harry?
Yeah, I've what have I got here? What feedback? Do you think all the feedback that you got from the book, Harry, do you think it's been justified?
Didn't catch the end of it.
You didn't catch the end of it. So, so obviously you've had feedback from the book. You know what I mean? Obviously, whatever feedback you've had, do you think it's justified? So if it's bad feedback, do you think it's justified? If it's good feedback, do you think it's justified about the book?
Yeah, good question. And yeah, I don't, good or bad, as long as there's feedback.
Yeah.
Point about it is.
So then, obviously, to move on to the, obviously about the title end of the first book. You know what I mean? Because obviously that. Obviously, the feedback that we had doing our show, I think we did our show just after you were on the first time, and people were put off by the title, and we had to tell people to forget the title but read the book. You know what I mean? And the title was explained straight away in the first couple of paragraphs, really, in the book, that it was more of a tragedy than it was. You know what I mean? Because unfortunately, someone lost their life, and I think people are sometimes don't see past a couple of words, and I don't think that, especially that word killing, I don't think people have really saw past that.
Andy, all credit to you guys for seeing past that, because right at the entry point, as I will tell you, the feedback to me was 80-90% negative.
Yeah.
And the word killing did great with a number of people.
Yeah.
Does anyone really think that this guy was not killed now?
Well, he is, isn't he? Unfortunately, that's what's happened to him. You know what I mean? He was killed. He was killed a year and a half ago, and you know what I mean. And until there's more facts to prove that differently, for example, it's just never going to happen. You know what I mean? He was killed, unfortunately.
The real question, Andy, is: was it manslaughter, which is what the police have been looking at? And even now, criminal manslaughter, they ditched that and said there wasn't homicide.
Yeah.
Some people still think, was it murder? Now,
Yeah.
It's a question, not a statement of. And behind the scenes, people posted investigations. In my book, use the word murder. That's the word they use. But it's very much as a question.
Yeah.
You know, if people are still questioning it, and they're close to the investigation, I think the least offensive term is the killing of this footballer. He was killed in some shape or form, whether it was negligence, whether it was criminal slaughter, whether it was murder. But I don't think anyone would query the word killing now.
No.
It's just a question, for me, what I find a scandal is no one is being brought to task for what happened to him.
Yeah. I totally agree. And it was, but we've argued the case about the title, and we'll continue to do so because it's an excellent book with so many facts, and I'm so looking forward to reading even more facts, especially now you've told us about the harness and things. And I know Neil asked the question there just a few questions back about the significance of the harness. So, do you think the lack of a harness? Do you think that's massively significant of what's happened?
Andy, I don't know the answer to that. My job as a reporter is to bring the facts, is to report what people are thinking and saying behind the scenes, conspiracy theories, if you like. That was something that was in the official report. It's not something I'm saying I think happened.
Yeah.
It's something the aviation authorities, in their report, page 34 and 35, reported on.
Yeah.
But in the barest possible terms. Other issues which they didn't really know. How did the carbon monoxide get into the cockpit? They don't know because they haven't got the plane. They can look at similar instances with that and say this is the kind of faults that you see. But they just said the harness was missing.
Mm-hmm.
The footballer's harness was missing.
Yeah.
He was strapped in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why he was still in the plane. Yeah, it's just a unanswered question.
Plane harness, pilot's harness is like. It's not something that comes out with impact. I wouldn't have thought. He probably had to release it.
Yeah.
Why did he release it? Why has it gone missing?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the pilot is still missing, presumed dead.
Yeah, exactly. That family side never going to get any closure. Same, you know what I mean? Same issue.
I don't see it. I really don't see it unless this issue goes to a course of law where every spit and comma and I's are dotted, and you see the evidence and cross-examine people and ask them a lot of questions that they don't want to answer. So that would be my ideal scenario. Is it goes to a court of law and you hear for yourself what really happened. And people are interrogated in the witness box, and sometimes they crack and tell you the truth. I investigated Terry Venables and produced evidence of 11 criminal actions he took while he was chief executive at Top. I mean, I was vilified for saying so much, and I wrote a book about it, vilified for daring to take Alan Sugar's side against Terry Venables. People, Spurs, and I'm a Spurs fan myself, stopped in the street, and it was pretty nasty. But a period of time, and certainly when Terry Venables was in a court of law convicted of those 11 criminal charges, do people see it in the same light? Do they now see what Alan Sugar was trying to like, why he was so angry and took the issue to court? So it's very similar to this. At point of entry, Cardiff fans were appalled at the title of this book. But I don't think anyone now, and the new title, is the football crime of the century. Could very well be that. Not just against Emiliano Sala, against his family. What everyone's putting them through. And who behind the scenes did what. We all want to know if he was killed, how, why, and by who.
Yeah.
All those questions remain unanswered a year and a half later, with no sight as yet of any of them being answered.
Indeed, absolutely, and I think it's a subject which there's still so many questions to get through. I'm a little bit disappointed in myself that the connection's been a bit bad on your side, Harry. But what I would propose, if you're up for it, maybe at another time, the three of us could get together for a recorded show, and we can collect any questions which people haven't been sent in today, and we could do like a short sort of question and answers session with yourself if that would be suitable for you.
No, I would be delighted to come on your show.
That's great.
Because I've
Thank
got
you.
to say that.
Go on. Go on, Harry. Say what you were going to say there. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, you were the first, as far as I could see, to take on board what actually was contained in the book and read the book and come to a conclusion, while everyone was jumping to a conclusion. So, if you want me on.
Thank you very much. So, guys, me and Andy are going to just finish off with some of our usual segments. Harry, thank you ever so much for joining us. And Andy, was there anything you wanted to just?
No, just massive thanks, Harry. You know what I mean? As I say, Si made me. He didn't make me. He advised me to read the book over a weekend through doing the show on the Monday, and I was the same as Si, that couldn't put it down. It was so enthralling, and advise everybody to look past the title and read the book, because it's superb.
Andy, thank you. Pleasure to talk to you.
My pleasure, mate. Top man. Appreciate that.
Cheers, Harry. Thank you for joining us.
See you soon.
You too, mate.
Take care.
Okay. So yeah, I do apologise to everyone watching that there was a few audio issues. Harry's side. There's absolutely there's nothing that myself or Andy or Harry can do about that. It's just one of those things. It's just internet connection. So we've still got some things to discuss. We got the news of the week, and we're going to do our penalty shootout quiz then to finish off. So we've got probably another, say, 20 minutes to half hour to go. Any stories or rumours, mate, which kind of prickled your fancy this week?
I would like to talk about Holland, and I would like to talk how a big organisation, stroke league, who's done the right way, can make a decision on a league title stroke relegation when everything is probably more interesting and enthralling than the Premier League is. You've got Ajax and AZ Alkmaar on the same points. AZ are going for the first title in God knows how long. I heard today about Den Haag, because obviously Alan Pardew was a manager there, that they were in the bottom two, so obviously they're safe. He was due a huge bonus to keep them up, which he received, and he's given it away to non-playing staff to pay for their wages, and giving it to the local NHS. And I just want to give a little bit of credit to Alan Pardew, because players and managers do get a bit of a bad rep sometimes, and for somebody to do something so nice as that, because he's gone there to do a job. He's gone there potentially for a financial reason, to get his name back in the ring, to come back to England potentially. But to do something so nice is obviously deserves a bit of credit. But then, which follows me onto another comment. So moving back to England, for Holland to England, that why aren't we getting a decision and closure like everyone else is getting? What I'm hearing at the minute is that the Championship and the Premier League are going to finish as normal, and League One and League Two are going to do a points per game up to the end of the season, and playoffs are going to be decided as normal behind closed doors. Give us a break. You know what I mean? Give us a break. If League One and League Two are any different than the Championship and the Premier League, then the whole of football might as well just pack in. It's one. They're in the same. They're all linked. They're all linked. They all potentially play against each other. In 2 seasons, the whole thing could just change. So for me, I think the whole thing's just a farce, and we're showing ourselves up. You know what I mean? Before anything else, and we're coming out of it really stupid and looking really silly. We slagged off Scottish football last week, but we're coming out of it looking even more stupid than they have at the minute.
Yeah, it's unfortunately, mate. It's not even just the football side of it. As a country, I feel like the UK has been very slow to react to everything. We seem to be very much being reactive rather than proactive in everything they're doing. And I feel like football on the whole, you know, like we've talked about over the last couple of weeks, FIFA should have stepped in and
straight away
just done it. You know,
yeah, straight away for everybody's side, and it would have just given everybody a bit of closure. You know that who did I hear? There was an interview this morning. It was an Ajax player who signed for Chelsea on a pre-contract agreement, so his contract is obviously now null and void. He's going to go and sign for Chelsea, but he obviously doesn't know. He doesn't know if his contract starts in July the 1st if he can play this season, or he's got to finish and wait till next season. He doesn't know. He doesn't know what he's doing, and how can a footballer not know what he's doing? It's just you know what I mean. Like Mark's saying there, don't agree with closed doors football. I've said all alongside, football is nothing without fans. I've played reserve games, you know what I mean, and trying to generate your own atmosphere and try and play the best that you can in front of an empty stadium is nigh on impossible, and that's in reserve team football. If you're doing it and there's something at the end of it like relegation, playoffs, promotion, how are you going to manage it? How's it going to work? You know what I mean? Like I've always said all along, Simon, it's the same thing. Liverpool are going to win the league, and nobody's going to be there to celebrate it. It's just going to be the worst. It's just going to be the worst thing ever. It's going to be horrific.
Yeah,
it's going to be laughable.
Yeah, I do think I find it embarrassing, like the Premier League and the Championship. That I find it embarrassing that they're not making this decision based on the health of the players, the staff, the fans, etc., and just saying, right, we've got to, you know, it's unprecedented. We've got to void the season. I find it embarrassing that they're so desperate to not lose the TV money, because that's what it is. It's got nothing to do with the integrity of the league and all this type of stuff, because as we've discussed before, that's very difficult to uphold now because of contracts and injuries and illnesses and all the various things and training and who's training and who's not. It's impossible to uphold the integrity of the competition.
No, I totally agree, Si. You know, and it just doesn't come across right. It's just I don't know what they're waiting for, because, and if they do cancel it now, it's just going to be the most. It's just will be a laughing stock. It'll be even worse. So, for me, a decision should have been made well before this, so players can prepare, clubs can prepare, and if this is a financial decision because teams are struggling for money, then I don't get it, because teams are going to be playing behind closed doors, so they're not going to generate any money. So if they're playing games, it's only going to cost them money. It's not going to save them any money. So it can't be a financial decision. So, but then and then I've also got a rant, and I don't really know the facts on it, and I don't know why it happened, but obviously Graham Jones lost his job at Luton Town, and I don't obviously know that you know what I mean, we've been locked down and we haven't had any football for a month. So to lose your job a week ago during lockdown, they've lost no games in the last month, but he loses his job. So why not sack him a month ago? Why not sack him 6 weeks ago? Why wait till now? You know what I mean? Is there more to it? Is there something that we don't know about? You know what I mean? I don't get it. Honestly, I don't. You know what I mean? There's big decisions being made around football, which I fully understand if it's a financial decision. But you're going into the final few games of the season, 9 games of the season, without a manager.
Yeah, I gotta say, I do find it leaves a bit of a sour taste in my mouth, sacking the manager during this period, unless there's like a genuine reason where he had to be sacked there and then, like a like a legal reason or something like that. I find it does leave this nasty taste. David Evans says if it's closed door football, it should be made free to view and allow children from poorer backgrounds the chance to watch games they wouldn't be able to otherwise watch. I agree, but
how's the Premier League? How's the Premier League and the EFL going to make any money if that happens? Do you know what I mean? There's a reason. There's a reason why they're pushing for games to be on TV, because they can generate money. Clubs won't get any money, but they can generate their money back.
So Reece David Evans again, he just followed up. He said, "Who has the most power over the league restarting, the Premier League or the TV companies?" That's an interesting debate to be had.
TV for me all day long.
Absolutely.
For me, that's who pays Sky, that's who pays the league, and then the money filters down. So the money starts at the top and filters down to everybody else. And you know, I mean, they're in charge. If they're going to show a game, say every day, and there's going to be every game's going to be live on TV. You know what I mean? Because end of the day, like, what you can't do, and what I hope doesn't happen, is there's still 7 games on a Saturday, and every game's just going to be on a different channel. You know what I mean? Because that's just to feed your object. You might as well have a game on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and a game just a game every day. If you play Thursday, Becky's bang on there. It's because he hasn't won any games.
That's why he got sacked.
That's why he got sacked. You have to be in it to win it, aren't you? Brutal. But for me, money takes over. Money takes over. It's not fair. Not fair.
Moswin Morris says, Sky are calling the shots. If you sell your soul to the devil, you have to dance to his tune. Now that is a sentence I like, and I'm going to add that to my tattoo sleeve. Thank you, Moswin. What else we got? EFL Centre says, what did they say? I can't see that. So can you see that? If they move it to behind closed doors, what do you think they'll give back to the season ticket holders?
Not a lot.
Nothing if they can avoid it.
Not a lot, because you've already paid for your. Unfortunately, you paid for your season ticket. You're going to have the maximum left of what you got 9 games. So you've got 5 games at home, maximum 4 away, 5 at home, or 4 at home, 5 away. I can't see the club willing to pay out anything. They might throw in a League Cup game next year if you're lucky, and generate a bit of revenue for themselves, because they generally don't get very big crowds. But with this, what's happening, I think clubs will be so tight with the money next year, you probably won't get signings. Never mind, clubs give money back.
So yeah, I think Cardiff players obviously announced, or the club announced this week, that the players were
fair play.
I don't know if they announced exactly what they were doing, but they were taking some sort of pay cut for a period of time to make sure that the non-playing staff, you know, get paid, and the club stays in business, which is good. You know, to me, that should be the kind of norm across the board for everyone. I'm not entirely sure it should be. It is. What I do find interesting is all these clubs now who are announcing this sort of thing. Doesn't it make Spurs and Liverpool look absolutely terrible for initially furloughing their staff and then going back on it?
It just makes a mockery of them, Si. It makes them look so stupid, because even clubs in and around them, Man City, who's shown them up, Man United show them up, you know, even probably lesser clubs, you know what I mean? It was just the most ridiculous thing in the world, and they saw it of a way of saving a little bit of revenue, a little bit of money, but it was never going to be a fair way of doing it, because you're furloughing someone who's getting paid £200 a week, for example, but then keeping a £200,000 a week player. It's just laughable, really. Can't do it.
Oh yes. I got Reece David Evans says, do you think this will end the big transfer and huge wage bubble?
I don't think it.
Very briefly on that, mate. So I would, if Paul Pogba wasn't about to leave Man United for obscene money, and Jadon Sancho probably will join Man United for obscene money. Kylian Mbappe is probably going to go to Real Madrid for obscene money. And then you've got players who are going to be used as make-weights, such as there's been rumours about Aaron Ramsey, there's been rumours about Di Maria, players like this who could be used in make-weights in various deals, Jesse Lingard. Because they don't necessarily want to leave their clubs, to be involved in a make-weight deal, they would demand extortionate wages. And the clubs will pay it because they want to get those deals, whatever they may be, across the line, and they need them out. Can I ask you about that, actually? In your experience as a footballer, how do the kind of transfers work where you have a player included in the deal if the player's not too keen, like not the main player, but the player who's kind of basically being chucked in to try and get the bigger player?
I don't think you have much choice. You obviously know that you're not part of the club's plans straight away, so you've got probably a bigger decision to make than if it's a normal transfer. That let's use Jesse Lingard as an example. Let's say Man United are going to sign Jadon Sancho, and Jesse Lingard's been thrown in as a make weight. For me, he knows that his days are numbered at United, so he's in a no-brainer to go somewhere else where they want him, and because it only makes the transfer fee even bigger. The transfer fee then still got to be paid. The transfer fee just then becomes probably bigger than it would have been, because the player's probably worth more as part of the deal than it is without him being part of the deal. Because Sancho goes to United, a player goes in the opposite direction. They don't have to go and spend that money straight away because they've got a player to take over in the short term. And so for me, the player has got to seriously consider it. But then, Si, you're on about money there, and on about, I totally agree with you that all these big moves are going to happen because owners aren't losing that much money. You know what I mean? Individual owners are not losing that much money. Clubs might be, but clubs are owned by the owners and probably in debt to the owners. You know what I mean? You look at Newcastle United are potentially going to be owned by the richest person in the world. You know what I mean? One of the Saudis. So he buys that football club. You can't tell me that they're not going to spend probably close to maybe £1 billion on players if they're not lucky. You know what I mean? Because they need that much revenue and that many players bringing in, and they'll overpay, which will make the transfer market go through the roof, go crazy. And you know what I mean? In the Premier League, we'll see an influx, but I think everywhere else around EFL, teams will get relegated. I think they'll cut the cloth accordingly and try to save as much money as they can and have smaller squads.
Yeah, I think we are going to see a lot of players either released or, like you say, squads smaller.
Yeah.
But
I think
bigger players and bigger signings, I think, will be bigger than ever.
Yeah, I think it's going to have a massive effect on those out of contract, because I think those players who were looking to get a 2, 3, 4 year contract at a new club are probably going to get 6 months to a year to prove himself, and it'll be a little bit of insecurity, and because teams just can't afford to give those big contracts out probably now with what's happened this year, and that's probably going to be such a shame. But those who've fortunate to have a contractor, you know what I mean, will be able to kick on and crack on. But you know what I mean, for me, it's the players who have signed a new contract at a new club, like a pre-contract agreement. I'm still unsure what on earth's going to happen there.
Yeah, it's puzzling, isn't it? We've got a couple of questions. So yeah, guys, send your questions now, because we're going to start going towards wrapping up. Johnny Wish would like to know Andy Campbell on Unscripted and Uncensored.
Yes, live apparently.
Soon.
Yeah, soon. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what we'll do is in a few weeks, perhaps when we haven't got very much news or we haven't got a guest, we'll just do it on a Monday as part of the Andy Campbell show. Maybe the first hour, unscripted and uncensored. You can ask anything, and away we go. I have a new episode of Unscripted and Uncensored dropping on Thursday with boxing personality Ben Doherty, which is a very, very good one, especially if you're interested in boxing, because he is a fountain of knowledge. EFL Centre, a question for Andy. Do you think Jonathan Woodgate is the right man for Boro?
Yeah, I do. I think he deserves an opportunity. I think he deserves a full season. Are we going to get a full season? I don't know. He deserves an opportunity to keep them up, and if he fails, then he fails. Then it's obviously down to him. But he deserves an opportunity to keep that football club up, because he loves the football club like we all do up north, and hopefully he gets the opportunity to do that. I hope that happens. By the way, I hope that happens.
No, it's not happening at all.
I hope that happens.
I'm not happy about that at all. Feels like a threat. If this season is played, Mark Worrell asks, if the season is played to a finish, when do you think next season will start?
Oh, if this season isn't finished or is finished?
Is finished.
If this season is finished now, I think they'll start it as normal. If this season it finishes in August, I think it'll have a couple of weeks, then it'll start straight away. So probably just 2 weeks straight after the season. Players won't have a break. They'll just regroup, transfers will happen, and then we'll go on from there.
Yeah. So to me, this is why I'm kind of quite staunchly kind of saying that they should void it now. And as I've said, I'm not going to repeat it, but they should void it. They should open the transfer window so clubs can sort themselves out, and then they start hopefully in September. But the problem is if they are insistent, which they are at the moment, on finishing the season, the problem we are going to have is if they still haven't completed it in, say, August or late August, start of September, everything goes as a knock-on effect. And you're talking about years to come. Because next summer you've got the Euros, the Olympics. The summer after that, there's something else, the Nations League, or there's, I forget what it is, but there's tournaments in the summer for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Especially because the Euros have been moved. So you're talking having these footballers play non-stop with no break. And like you just said, the maximum they'll get is a 2-week break when this season finishes into the next, regardless of when it starts.
And this isn't
also,
me.
Sorry, mate. Just
Go on.
Just one more thing to add. I was going to say is, I think that clubs think that this current period is a break for the players, and I think the authorities view this as a break for the players. But as we've discussed, it's not, because I know for a fact that certain players at certain clubs have been told to be ready to basically go into full training and play like next week.
Yeah.
So that they're ready. So it's not a break because they're mentally on edge, wondering what's going to happen with the season, and physically they're working very, very hard to try and keep as fit as you can, using the facilities that they've got at their houses.
Yeah. Well, this is what I said last week, and this isn't me feeling sorry for players. They're not going to get a break, but they need a break. They're used to a break, and I'm on about the top players. The top players are gonna have all the way through the season, all the way through the next season, and then you've got your tournament, the Euros, which is the travelling on top of it as well, and then you've got the following season, and then you've got something in the summer, and then potentially you've got a World Cup the following year. So just about to do that. Happy birthday, Christian. Yeah, I know you wish me happy birthday as well, so I'll give you it live on the show. Happy birthday. I've got another one,
Christian.
I've got another one, Si, as well, so I need to do a happy birthday to my nephew, Dylan Campbell. So he's watching, I think. My brother's girlfriend has just texted there. So happy birthday, Dylan. Love you, mate.
Happy birthday, Dylan. Top man. He follows me on Instagram and I follow him. He's my
go.
friend. I like him. Happy birthday. And happy birthday to Christian as well. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting us. If you had come to me first, Christian, I would have wished you happy birthday straight away. And he's like that. He takes, but he doesn't give it back. He took the happy birthday wish from you, but he wasn't interested in giving it back.
I kept it in here.
Yeah, that's it. Reese says the podcast should do an end season meetup in the pub, get as many of the guests and viewers together for a drink up, chance for the fans to meet Super Kev, Andy, Si, and Cole.
Oh, live one in the pub.
Live from the pub. My wife also says I don't make threats. That's not ominous at all. I could wake up with no beard. EFL Centre says, do you think Neil Harris is the right man for Cardiff? No.
I'd even forgot we were in the middle of the season because, the only positive I've got from COVID happening for Cardiff City at the minute is we haven't lost any more games.
Yeah, that's true, mate. Also, just a quick mention. Last week we ran a competition. We asked the question. We gave away a T-shirt because Alan Jones of Away Day Apparel is a top man. The two people who got the question right, I initially did like a random draw thing, and Leslie Coates won, who's normally in the live chat, but I haven't seen him today. But because there was only two people who got the right answer, we had a few wrong answers, which, you should have watched the show the week before because the answer was there. So Alan, being the top man that he is, sent a T-shirt to both the people who got the questions right. One of which is Rhys David Evans, who was just asked the question, and the other one was Leslie Coates. So congratulations to them for winning the competition. As always, our show is sponsored by Away Day Apparel. Visit awaydayapparel.co.uk and check out all their latest offers and T-shirts and clothing. And especially for viewers and listeners of Ace Podcast Nation, If you use the code AA Podcast Nation, all in lowercase, you can get 10% off all your orders. And we thank Alan and them for sponsoring the show. They are also running a competition on their Facebook and Instagram, I believe, where basically you share the post, you tag 5 people, you send the message that's attached. It closes this Thursday at on the 30th at 6 o'clock. And it's a really, really good prize to get involved with the brand and have some input and various other things. So that if you go to facebook.com/awaydayapparel, you've got all the posts there. I'll also link the post in the description on the audio shows. Indeed. So I think if if there's any more questions for people, we'll just answer the rest of the questions, mate, and then we'll get into the penalty shootout quiz, I think. What else have we got? Neil Harris is not a man for the job, absolutely. I stick to that. Richie Thomas says top show. Becky Willis suggests that we sing happy birthday to Christian and Dylan, whoever loses the penalty shootout quiz, or should I say when you lose the penalty shootout quiz.
It's not a bad shout. It's not a bad shout.
I was looking forward to singing Michael Jackson though. Yeah.
You won't lose though. You know you won't.
Yeah, quiz legend. Sure. Mark Worrell says surely some competitions such as the League Cup could be eliminated for a season. That's not a bad shout, actually.
Yeah, it's not a bad shout, but to be fair, what would we do, say, without the Coca-Cola Cup, Worthington Cup, whatever we're calling it next year? You know what I mean? It's the only thing we laugh about. It's the only thing we go on about. So I can't have a season without it.
Yeah, I like the League Cup. It's not going to Coca-Cola Cup, isn't it?
It's not going to free up. It's not going to free up enough time to do much else. It doesn't really have an impact, and teams don't take it seriously anyway. So, you know what I mean, to leave it in probably creates a little bit of joy for the lesser sides and the, you know what I mean, to go to Wembley, for example.
Indeed, mate. Indeed, it's difficult. Let's have a look. James Costley asks, "Who's your favourite all-time Cardiff City player?" So I know who mine is. Mine might surprise a few. Who would know? Andy, do you have a favourite all-time Cardiff player?
Favourite all-time Cardiff player. I'd probably say Cav, because of the impact he had on the football club. He had a huge impact on and off the pitch for me personally in the way that he pushed the football club, and but yeah, I'd probably say him. Yeah.
Yeah, Cav changed the game for Cardiff. I feel he took them from a Division 1, League 2 side to a Championship side, basically.
Yeah, it was a good signing.
Division 1 as it was then. But my all-time favourite player, Cohen Griffith, because he was the first player who, as a kid, I wanted to be like.
Nice.
His silky skills, and I'm trying to get him on the show. And speaking of guests, next week, those of you who follow me on Twitter will already have an inkling. But we have the potential. Daniel Gabardon tweeted me back today and said he would like to come on the show. He's also now followed me, so we can sort it out. So, in the works. Hopefully, we'll have the great Daniel Gabardon joining us next week. And the only reason I've said I don't mention guests until they're 100% in the bag, but obviously it was, publicly tweeted, so people knew.
Yeah.
Just double check. There's no more questions. James Costley says Chopra was his favourite all-time player. It's a good shout as well. I like that. There's so many, like Nathan Blake.
Wits.
Roger you've got Neil Alexander, Whitnam.
Yeah, it's opinions, isn't it? And it's good. It's a good pub question debate.
Yeah, it's one of those ones, isn't it, where you could go forever.
You're going forever. Nobody's wrong. Nobody's wrong. As long as you can just
1 week we could.
As long as you can justify it.
Go on. Yeah, I think so, and I think maybe 1 week during lockdown we'll do like an all-time Cardiff City 11 where we go through the team and we debate it between the two of us.
Yeah, I like that.
and pick the squads. Richie says Ernie Whitson Gunnarsson. Not bad shout. Not bad shout at all. Okay. So Mark Worrell says, what happened to the Tom Watt interview? It's been done. It's a very, very interesting show. Tom Watt, who's a actor who played Lofty in EastEnders, but he's also been a broadcaster. He's done documentaries for BT. He's a very charismatic dude, and it was a really cool interview. I'm hoping that will be out a week Sunday, but I've got lots and lots of shows to get out at the moment, and I don't want to release like a show every day because I feel like they take away from each other. So I tried to space them out a little bit, but we've got lots of good shows. But Tom Watt is coming out Sunday. We've got Jack Shaw's father, whose name is Richard Shaw. He's top MMA trainer in the UFC and Cage Warriors, and got lots to come. What else we got in the comments? Darren Pearce, James Costley says, I know who my wife's favourite player is, and until he agrees to come on the show, I shall not mention his name. Not that I'm jealous at all. I also think Bellamy changed the game for Cardiff City as well. When he signed, he really...
game changer, yeah.
After we failed to make the Premier League a couple of times, just missing out through various reasons, he just pushed us over the line with his all-round attitude and intensity. Okay, so to finish the show, we have our penalty shootout quiz. So what this is myself and Andy, we pick a subject each, and the other asks 5 questions. Whoever wins is the winner. Whoever loses has to sing us out at the show. If we are level at the end of the 5 questions, then we have a tiebreaker. Do you want to hear something interesting, mate?
Go on.
At this moment, 12 minutes past 9, I do not have any questions for you. I am making them up on the fly. So you have a chance. Because I kind of forgot where I was trying to sort out Harry, and I've been doing stuff all day, and obviously the kids, and all these different stuff. Excuses. So, Andy's chosen subject is Euro 96. My chosen subject for this week is WWE.
Yours was hard.
Yeah, I regretted saying it as soon as I said it.
Yours was hard.
But I wanted to do something different.
I'm not. If you get any of these, or if you get them, then fair play. I deserve to lose. But
I think you got this one, mate, in the bag, because I was more focused on other stuff, like more important stuff. So, but I don't want to lose either because I'm unbeaten in the quiz.
I know, so, you are.
So go on, you go first while I get your first question together.
Right. Okay. So, question number 1 on your WWE quiz. So, what was the name of the tag team of The Rock and Mankind called?
The Rock and Sock Connection.
Correct.
You nearly score.
I'm going to lose.
Yeah, okay. In Euro 96, which two teams contested the final?
That will be Germany, who beat England against Czech Republic.
Dun, dun, dun. Correct. Well done, mate.
My first question I've ever got right. Yeah,
in the bag.
Right.
I'm going to have to make them
Question number 2.
Question number 2.
Evan Bourne's finished move is called what? Evan Bourne's finished move is called what?
So I know what the technical name for it is, but I can't remember what he calls it. So the technical name for it is the shooting star press. I can't remember the name of it. It's going to bug me.
Correct. Correct.
Oh, thanks, mate.
I wasn't going to put you through misery.
Just making me sweat.
Correct.
Make me sweat then.
Correct.
Because that was going to bug me.
Correct.
I know he probably could.
I could have dragged that out a little bit longer, but no, I'll give you that one.
I was starting to sweat then.
You're going to get 5 out of 5 here.
Yeah, maybe. I'll make him nice and easy. Okay, what two venues were the semi-finals of Euro '96 played at?
Oh, I know one of them. Obviously, Wembley. That was England against Germany. And I'm torn between two. I'm torn between Old Trafford and Villa Park, so I'll go Old Trafford.
2-2.
Happy with that. Yeah, I don't know who they played though. Check. I can't remember who they played, but I remember I remember they played Villa Park in one game. But right, question number 3. What does the tag team called FBI stand for? FBI.
Full-blooded Italians.
Oh gosh.
The quiz king.
You are. You're right.
Okay. Alan Shearer was the Golden Boot winner of Euro '96. Can you name one of the 4 strikers who came second?
Oh, it's got to be Germany.
Dum, dum.
It's got to be Germany. Jurgen Klinsmann.
Boom! 3-3.
I was going to go closer, but I went Klinsmann.
3-3. Damn.
Right.
Panic now.
Right. Question number 4. I don't know if this is a tough one. I think this might be the toughest one. Right. What are the names of the Basham brothers?
Doug and Danny.
Oh.
Bang!
Yes, bang indeed.
Do you want me to tell you the name of their manager as well?
And the mum and dad.
Show off.
And the mum and dad.
Yeah.
You don't know how much. You don't know much. You don't know much I hate you right now.
You bet you researched these for ages as well, didn't you?
Took me ages this afternoon. I thought these were hard. Show me right.
I'm doing this on as I'm making your questions up on the fly as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I gotta find you a question, mate. I do apologise. It's very unprofessional. Okay. Can you name all 4 teams from? Oh, that's a bit hard. Okay, who came second in England's group? It's easy, that, isn't it?
Oh, so it was England, Scotland, Switzerland. I'm thinking Holland. So England. What was the score? So we beat. Oh, I can't remember. We beat Holland, didn't we? 4. Scotland didn't qualify. It's got to be Holland. Holland.
Well done.
Yeah, had to be.
Back of the net.
Had to be.
So what's that? 4-4.
4-4 down to the decider.
Oh, the pressure!
I haven't got
I'm going to get this wrong now.
I haven't got a last question because I didn't think it was ever going to get that far. Right. So, who has won the most Royal Rumbles?
Oh, I don't know this.
Oh.
Okay, so let's just go through this in my head.
I've got how many as well, but that was just like a.
Who's won the most?
Who's won the most Royal Rumbles?
Okay, let me think.
I thought this was the easiest one.
So I'm going to go with, I guess, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
How many?
Oh, I don't know how many.
Correct.
4? 3
no,
or 4?
3. Correct. 3.
Oh, get in!
5 out of 5. There's no one in the world I'm getting 5 here.
Okay. Let's have a look. It's build the tension.
Drum rolls and
This
everything.
to take it to what? To a tiebreaker.
To a tiebreak, which we haven't got.
To a tiebreaker. Yeah. To a tiebreaker. So I'll tell you what, guys. If you could think of a good tiebreaker question in the comments where we have to guess like a number where who's closest.
That means we've got to get this right, though.
So if Andy gets this right, obviously. Okay. Let's have a look. Shall I give you a nice softball one?
Don't know.
Take it to the last. Take it to the tiebreaker. See if any questions come in from tiebreaker. The tiebreakers come in from the fans, from the supporters, from the viewers, from the listeners. Let's see what they do. See if anyone comes up with some good ones. It needs to be something where we can like both guess and answer and just building the tension, making you wait.
Yeah, I know you are.
Making you wait for the question. So, has anyone got any good tiebreakers? Richie Thomas is thinking. I know. Becky's thinking. The problem is, Becky will think of one that you can get, and I can't, which I think is vastly unfair. Feels like,
that's not... Oh.
Attendance at Cardiff City versus Pompey 2008. Oof. That's a tricky one. Okay. I do apologise, mate. I'll make sure next week that I've got all the questions prepared.
It's all right.
I also don't want to give you like just something really, really easy, but also I don't want to make it, incredibly hard. Tell you what. For half a point, quarter of a point each to total in a whole point, can you name me four managers from the Euro 96 tournament? Is that too hard? Is that unfair? Because I'm asking you for 4 answers.
No, we've got Terry Venables.
Okay.
From England. We've got Craig Brown with Scotland.
Yeah.
We had Gus Hiddink. And Germany, the winner was Bertie Vogts.
Tiebreaker. Damn it. Alan Jones says, Andy, put your phone where we can see it and stop cheating.
I know, I'm not cheating.
Okay, so we've had 3 different tiebreakers, okay, sent in. So James Costley says, guess the attendance of Cardiff versus Portsmouth in the FA Cup final. It's a pretty good one. Mark Worrell says,
you can go first.
Guess the attendance. Hang on a minute, now we haven't decided what the question is, yeah? Guess how many fans were at WrestleMania 3 in Detroit, 1987, which I think is a bit unfair on you.
Yeah,
but then it's just guessing a number as well. It's guessing a number, isn't
it?
Yeah. And Richie says, how many caps did Gary Speed win? So I'll tell you what, because you've taken me to a tiebreaker for the first time ever, I will let you pick one of those 3 questions.
We'll go Cardiff City versus Portsmouth then.
Damn it! What's the Wembley? What's the actual full attendance or capacity?
Well, I don't know because I don't know if it. I don't know. Was it old Wembley or new Wembley?
Oh crap! Yeah. I really don't know. Do you know?
What if it was old Wembley or new Wembley? I'm going to go old Wembley. I don't know. I don't know when it was.
Well, yeah, 2008, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Go on, and you go first because you were the first.
Oh no,
I've got to go first, haven't I?
Yeah,
do I have to go first?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, because whatever I'll say, you'll go one less or one more, and that's what I'm going to do.
Ah! Right. Okay. 89,600.
Oh, you see, I would have gone 90. I would have gone 90,000. I would have thought 90,000 would have been a complete sellout at Wembley. So I'm gonna go. It's high. It's higher than yours.
Right.
So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go as higher, but not much higher. I'm gonna go 90,000 as a sellout, and I'm guessing it's a sellout.
So what are you going? What's your answer? What's your actual answer? Hang on. What's your actual answer?
What were you? 86.
I said
89,600. Well, I'll go like 89,
Right.
89,601.
Okay.
Because I'm going to go more. I think it's more, but I think it's closer at 90. Closer at 90.
I think you're going to have won.
I think it's closer
So
at
you've
90.
gone basically one more than me.
83
So
according to Richie.
Well, I'm going to double check now. Not that I don't believe you, Richie. Because I hope I should have just gone with Richie because I would have won. The answer is the official attendance for the FA Cup final 2008. Oh, the signal's breaking, hands. The signal's breaking. You're breaking up. I can't hear you.
That means I won.
What's going on?
I've won, haven't I?
My link is not working. It's not loading.
Oh, Alan Jones has come in 90,000. That's 90,000. I'll have that.
89,974.
Is that what it was? 89,974.
Yeah.
I'd have guessed at 90, but then you'd just gone less because Wembley can't hold.
Well, if you'd said 90,
you'd have gone one less.
Well,
yeah.
no, even if you'd said 90 and I said 89,600, I'd have been closer.
No, because you said it was 89,900.
I said 89,600, and it was
if I'd have gone,
874.
Yeah,
so
if I'd have gone
274 away.
Yeah, I'd have been 100 and I'd have gone 126 away, so I'd have won.
Oh dear.
There you go.
Well, it doesn't count as a loss on my quiz record because it was sudden death. Say that.
It was a draw. Yeah, it was like you lost on away goals.
Yeah, so it don't count, does it?
Yeah.
Really. But oh no, I gotta sing. I don't sing in public.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, that's what you want me to sing, is it?
Yeah, happy birthday to Dylan and to
Christian.
Christian, yeah.
Okay, I will get ready for that. Guys,
I'll join
you
in.
to everyone who's joined us. Thank you to everyone who's joined us. Thank you to everyone for their really kind comments. Obviously, we had a couple of issues with the technical side of it, which you can't do anything about. But thank you to Harry Harris for joining us. We'll definitely do a kind of question and answer thing. So if you want to ask Harry any questions which we didn't cover today, you can get them sent to us via facebook.com/acecastnation, Twitter and Instagram at acecast_nation, and you can also tweet Andy Campbell at AndyCampbell32, and we'll get that sorted at some point in the coming weeks. Thank you to Away Day Apparel and Alan Jones. Thank you to everyone who watched. Thank you to you, Andy.
My pleasure, mate. Loved it.
So, well, let me just get my little clip ready. And so it's was it Christian and Dylan?
Christian and Dylan, yeah.
It'd be funny now if I just pressed the clip, wouldn't it? It just ended the show. It'd be like really childish. Okay. Happy birthday
to you.
Happy
birthday to you.
Happy birthday, Dylan and Christian. Happy birthday.
Andy Campbell!